less food. So let's not backpedal against what the fitness program is and what the food is by not taking care of ourselves, because that's a huge part of it. And one of the reasons why I have not done a structured menu plan in my particular business is because, well, people don't follow it. And so that's why this is a test. Will you follow it? I need you to follow it. You don't have to do it ever again. I don't want it to be, it's designed to not be a program that burns you out, that makes you feel underfed. You should actually be sick of eating and go, man, I actually feel like I got to eat food and I'm burning fat. But I also need you to understand that to participate in a test, I need you to participate in the test, not go, well, I forgot my lunch today. I think I won't. Find a way to get as close as what that lunch was supposed to be and fix it later in the day for dinner. So one of the things, the differences in men and women between weight loss, and my clientele somehow in the last year has grown to be about 25% men. I don't market towards men. I don't. Somehow they show up here and they have a lot of fun. So welcome. He's like, who would you rather work out around? I'm thinking women. Okay. So I do have a pretty just mellow atmosphere. This isn't a traditional gym atmosphere. I need there to not be competition. I need there to not be trying to outdo somebody, because you're here to beat yourself. You're here to be better than you were yesterday, to learn more, to think more, and to not ever have to go back. Because lifestyle change is just that. If you hate it, you will stop doing it. You might hate the 28 days. It's a possibility because it's a menu. The plan behind the 28 days is it's going to change your whole thought process about food. And that kind of change does make you uncomfortable. It makes you go, oh, bear with it, try it, and see if it works for you. Because what I think you'll find is that the way you think about food, the way your body responds to food will change over that time. Your taste buds will change over that time. No alcohol, no milk in your coffee, no sugar, no grains, unless it's something specified on the menu, which, no grains. Carbs are from fruits and vegetables. So when people talk about, oh my gosh, that low carb thing, they're freaking out because, well, they don't eat fruits and vegetables. They eat grains and cheese and some meat. And while grains are a carb, they're not necessarily the best carb for humans based on where your family background's from. Some cultures have had a lot of grains for a lot longer, so some of that is taken into account. This is not something to do as a vegetarian. Now, that being said, you could pull all the meat out and add it as a protein supplement. I personally will not drink a smoothie ever again because I had enough of them as I was losing my weight. I really liked the recipe. Those of you guys that have tried my blueberry recipe, the blueberry smoothie, it's super. I drank it every day for 3 years, and then one day I woke up and went, so it turns out I don't like that anymore. It's okay, because 3 years later I'd already established the health pattern that I needed to hold. If you won't do it for, you wake up on your 3rd day and you do something that you hate, it's probably not going to stick. So that's where this test comes in. I need you to at least try to hang in with it. I need you to try to get enough sleep. I need you to make sure you're drinking your water. And I need you to send me feedback. So if I hear from you on day 27, this really just hasn't worked for me. I go, well, since this is my first email from you, and email, by the way, is the absolute best way to get me, because I'm either, training people most of the time, meeting with people, or with my family. I am very, very protective of my family time. This is a very unusual time for me to be here in the evening, because I typically start at about 6 a.m. So if you need me, I promise I will email you back. And if I don't, it went to spam and I never saw it. And the dumbest question you can ever think of. Because my job is to support you as your trainer, whether you're training in my session times or not. I need feedback from you. I need to know if your energy's crappy. I need to know if your mood's crappy. I need to know all this stuff, because that's part of the test. So I should get 30 emails a day from active clients telling me how they feel. I missed today at lunch, but I fixed it at dinner, so that I know you're participating in this. And one of the differences is, the reason I haven't used a structured menu in the past is because what I see is I hand it to people, they look at it, they go, wow, I'm really, really excited. And then they never look at it again. They go, I read that first page and it looked pretty good, and so I think I'll get skinnier. Same thing, hiring a trainer. You have to show up and you have to sweat your butt off every day. Okay, 3 days a week is better than 0. But I worked out 5 days a week for 10.5 months to lose 75 pounds. Mary Beth worked out 3 days a week to lose most of her weight, damn her. So some of that had to do with she was already participating in a program that I had developed, and I was in the process of developing it while I lost my weight. 2 days a week is not going to do very much at all except make you feel slightly better and then really, really sore after each workout. I do 3 days a week as a maintenance now, and I train all day long. So I'm just trying to give you some perspective. If you have said, I can do 3 days a week, I go, that's better than what you're doing right now, and we'll start there. But some people really, really, really need to do 5 days a week from a stress reduction perspective, and from a, you sit at a desk all day, you need to do something. So even if maybe somebody could, who's more active, like Mary Beth, for instance, is a physical therapist at APS, she's playing with kids all day long. She is very, very active. So maybe her lifestyle dictated that she didn't need to do 5 days a week. I have to look at how much stress does it put on you to come here 5 days a week versus what the health benefit of those additional workouts are. And it may be that on Tuesdays and Thursdays you need to go walk, jog in your neighborhood, something that you will do, ride your bike. If you can't get here at a structured time, I expect to see you Monday, Wednesday, Friday, bare minimum for the next 28 days, every single time. And I don't care what session it is in. You can have your reserve session time. We will hold a spot for you. Please don't block anybody that might need that time if you're not coming. You can unregister up to an hour before. At an hour it says, nope, because how much time do you need to get your bag together? I figure it's about an hour between commute time and prepping time. So the program that I have done before this, I actually give you feedback. So I'm actually getting reports to see what you're eating if you're taking the time to put the information in. This doesn't have anything like that other than you emailing me and saying, I had a great day, my energy level was really high, I had a good day, I was really hungry in the afternoon. I need to know those things so I can see where we are, because this will probably evolve. This is probably just a baseline into a little more structured plan. You know, and I don't know. I suspect that your energy levels will be great, but I need to know if they're not. So that's what I do ask of you. Now, back to the protein. Those of you that have been training with me for a while, it's not a lot of protein, because you realize if you don't start with protein at breakfast, you're never going to catch up. You get to dinner and you go, excellent, 12 ounces of chicken breast and 4 cups of vegetables. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I might do 2 cups of vegetables and 8 ounces of chicken breast if I'm really, really hungry. So one of my thought processes behind this 28-day menu was, I need you to plan. I need you to look at it like for next week and have that stuff purchased by this weekend so that you can start making it ahead of time. They're not super complicated recipes. It turned out my turkey meatball recipe did not make it on there somehow. So you have 1 or 2 choices with that. It is turkey and some seasonings, not very complicated, and a little bit of onion, not very much. So you could find a recipe that looks good to you and use it in place of that, or I'm going to send out the actual meatball recipe. It's not complicated. It doesn't have any bread in it, strangely enough, no grain. Fruits and vegetables are an excellent source of carbohydrates, and they're high fiber. Here's the other great side effect. They fill you up a lot more than grains do. So this cute little tiny serving of pasta costs me 200 calories of my intake in the day. There's no calorie counting in this. It's pre-done for you. But if I look at 200 calories of pasta, it's kind of pitiful. I'm like, really? Because where's the rest? And if I did 200 calories of vegetables, it would be 8 cups of vegetables. I can't eat 8 cups in the day. It's hard for me to break 6. So bang for my buck, what I get out of my food volume is much better. And it helps keep your skin looking healthier. It helps keep you younger. It is the fountain of life to eat live things, fruits and vegetables. And fruits are scary because a fruit, like a Costco apple, is 130 calories. So a serving of a Costco apple is not a serving of apple, it's like 3. But it's really good tasting. Where a serving of vegetables, a cup of vegetables, is 20 calories. So that in mind, if you follow what's in there, you'll be fine. If you're hungry, eat more vegetables. turns out you're not hungry. You want the other stuff that's not on the menu plan, and when you're like faced with more vegetables, you go, no, I'm actually not hungry. Turns out I'm fine, I'm good. So that was one of my tricks when I lost my weight, and it was vegetable soup, because I just couldn't eat any more carrot sticks. Oh, carrots aren't a vegetable. I just want to mention that. They're a starch. So think of them like potatoes and go, you're probably not going to find potato right. So multiple colors of vegetables. I promise that if you're having a food craving and you say you can have anything you want from this drawer, your food craving, because it's craving based. It is not nutrition based. Okay. The 28 days technically starts today because you're going to have your first training session today, and some of you already have. We're probably starting food tomorrow. You're going to hang out? She can hang out.
I have 2 kids in the car.
First of all, go get your children out of the car.
They've got air conditioning in their own. The 13-year-old, the 5-year-old.
Oh my gosh, it's fall, it's fine.
Why are those lights out there?
Right, it turns out we're all going to jail. It's called complicit in the whole thing. Okay.
And it's being taped.
Yeah, it's being taped.
Got evidence right here.
Don't say her name. Shh. Okay. You don't need a kickoff workout because you worked out with me for a year and a half. You need a change in thought process about food.
Right.
So one of the things that you're going to find about this place is it's super, super fun.
Yeah.
You don't ever repeat a workout, ever. I have 19 different formats that I use. Those of you that trained with me in the last, like, maybe year and a half, 2 years ago, I had about 6 formats that I used. So I've expanded what I do a lot. And then there's timer changes within that. So there's actually about 45 different styles of workouts that we do, and then about 200 exercises within that. So be patient with yourself, because as you learn the form, we will progress you, especially if you go, that's not very hard. Or I see that it's not very hard. I'll go, and you're like, damn it, I told her. I told her. But we need you to also stop and listen, because if we're saying I need you to go to the tire, that means I need you to work on the tire for a while, because that means that we're seeing something on your form that tells me you're at risk for a rotator cuff injury, for a back injury, for a knee injury, for some kind of injury. And I've done this professionally for 7 years, and I've seen a lot of people go, no, I'm not in pain, no, I'm not in pain, and then all of a sudden they're in a lot of pain. So carpal tunnel doesn't hurt until it hurts really bad. And that's an itis, and that's what I want you to think about. So when we're giving you form cueing, our job is to keep you injury-free. Now, 30% of Americans walk around with an undiagnosed rotator cuff injury. So that's something that we take into account. You may come to us with rotator cuff injury, and I have to make sure your shoulder's stable enough to still be able to exercise. So if I say to you, don't do a push-up, and I mean don't do a push-up. I mean, let's really work on the form. Let's get you stable, then we can make it harder. And best way to think about this is if we build a house, we dig out the foundation, we put the rebar in, we pour the concrete, then we start framing walls. If you start doing the advanced versions of all these exercises, because what I do is I write an intermediate workout, I don't write a beginning workout. I go, okay, here's what this is, here's what you're headed for. If you need a little easier, here's how you do it. And sometimes, just so you laugh at me, I do the harder version just for fun, because I like to. That does not mean I need you to go do the harder version or even the intermediate version. It means I need you to show me proficiency in the easier version, and as soon as you have that nailed, I will make it as hard as you need it to be. But if you don't have the foundation there and you start to frame walls, you're going to go to physical therapy and maybe to surgery, because you weren't ready for that progression. Brings me to the next thing. Don't do multiple workouts per day. At some point down the road, I will clear you because it's an appropriate training time for you to do a multiple boot camp. So there are some instances where somebody's training for something and I go, you know what, you really need to do kickboxing and cardio boot camp back to back. You do not have clearance for me until I've trained you or my trainers have trained you and we've discussed how it's appropriate for you to do more than one session in a day. And what my recommendation is to make sure you don't have to do 2 sessions in a day. When I'm done with the workout, I'm a train wreck. They're 35 minutes long, and I own the place. Pretty sure you can ruin yourself in that same amount of time and not have to do multiple boot camps. Just saying. I've seen a lot of people go, it's unlimited. I want to do this one, and then I want to do this one. If you stretch and cool down, even if you're cleared to do another boot camp, you can't do it because you've now turned off all the muscles and you're asking them to work again. So just remember that the parameters that we have in place here are for your safety. This is not not about the fastest fat loss you can possibly have. You have your body for the rest of your life, and we need to not have chronic injuries keeping you from staying in shape. And so it is multiple levels of training here, and it needs to be what your level needs to be, not what my level needs to be. Now, a little background on me. I gained my 75 pounds that I had to lose. Actually, it was about 70 in a pregnancy. I, at that point, had maintained it with a whole lot of cardio, like a lot of cardio. Stairmaster, elliptical, treadmill. I had a background in bodybuilding. Turns out I have really good shoulders to build a whole lot of muscle on, except I went, so if you don't like it well enough to repeat it long enough, you go on again, off again, on again, off again, and it's because it's boring. So when I was 19, after the end of my first semester of college, I got rear-ended. It was actually first semester of UNM. I had done one semester at UNM VC, and that was, well, anyway, I don't really count that as college. I'm not going to talk about it right now. I got rear-ended with a big eye. I was stopped, and he used me to stop. And I got a second-degree dislocated collarbone. So my collarbone, if you ever want to feel it, it's kind of fun, is not in my shoulder. I have low back and pelvic whiplash, and I have cervical whiplash. So I spent a lot of time in a chiropractic office and physical therapy, and used that as an excuse for a long time because I was in pain. And then I had kids, and that was another kind of pain, but yeah, it's still pain. There is no reason you should ever hurt. If I hurt, I stop. And it can be an exercise that I did 2 days ago with no pain, and I go, oh, I must have slept on that weird. Because if it hurts, you're not going to keep doing exercise, because then it aches all night, then it aches the next day. Then you're having to go to the chiropractor. And chiropractic is awesome because you need to balance the spine out, but you shouldn't be doing something to yourself to make yourself have to go. Learning how to move correctly doesn't hurt, but it does feel pretty weak, and it's pretty sore muscles. So your soreness is in the muscle belly, right in the middle of right here. It's not here. There's no joint pain. There's no neck pain. There's no knee pain. There's no back pain. There's no migraine headaches that all of a sudden showed up that you haven't had. I need to know any of this stuff that day. So, and pain is a very interesting subject for women especially. Sorry, I know. We have extremely high pain tolerances. And we're hard-headed on top of that. So you add those two things together, and by about an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10, most people tell me, that's been hurting for about a month. And I go, if you would have told me a month minus 1 day ago that it felt a little pressurized, or when I said this is a core exercise with a little bit of shoulder, and you go, no, it's a shoulder exercise with a no core, I would have been able to correct the form on it. And so I need to know when it feels like pressure. Because if it feels like pressure, it doesn't feel like the muscle's working. So when I'm doing squats, and my legs fatigue and I can no longer come back out of the squat, or I'm like, I don't want to do another one because my legs, or I don't want to jump again, that's fatigued. That's not pain. That's, I can't do anymore. Now it's painful to my ego. But it's not pain in an area that is a problem. If you get pain, I need you to stop. Because in the middle of boot camp, going crazy, someone stops, face is bright red, I go, you're fine, hang out, just rest and recover. If you stop and you don't look like that, it's a clear indication to me that you are in pain and you need correction. Or that you just need correction, that you don't feel it that way, but you stopped before you hit that pain level. And when I train, that's the first person I go to. If you're like, I can't stop because everyone else is going, and your form is close, I'm going to leave you exercising because I don't know that you don't feel it that way. So I need you to participate, just like in the nutrition stuff, I need you to participate in your coaching. If you bullnose right through it and go, it didn't hurt much, it will at some point, a lot more than that. So stopping allows us to be able to do the form coaching so that you can be successful, because food and exercise, you have to like it well enough, which means you don't hate it, which means it doesn't hurt, and it tastes pretty darn good most of the time for you to continue. I don't ever want to lose 75 pounds again. It's actually not hard to maintain now. The point that I got to was it just kind of maintains on its own, because I learned the volume of food to eat, and I learned that I feel like crap if I don't exercise. And I learned that I'm way meaner to everyone if I don't exercise, including my loved ones who I'm not mean to at all, except I'm meaner when I don't exercise. So a little snappier. So I had to learn that what it felt like wasn't always full. It was always a little bit hungry. Not starving, but I'll probably be ready to eat in another hour. There's probably time. I'm not stuffed. So changing your thought process is about food. Clear your dinner plate is don't clear your dinner plate. Serve yourself what is a small serving. If you're still hungry, eat more vegetables, and then lean protein. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the menu plans?
You said we can have coffee. Did I hear that?
Oh.
I didn't see coffee on there. It was a little
She
scary.
said
Little-
milk in your
Have you
coffee.
heard me talk about coffee? It's
I know,
like
but I
my
just wanted
second
to
love.
confirm this.
I heard
I
about
was
no
just gonna
cream,
hide
no
it.
sugar,
Yeah.
and I'm expecting no coffee, just
Pretty much,
that.
right? Okay, so coffee. Now, I typically do coffee with almond milk in it. Almond milk doesn't have very many calories. It's almonds that they blended up and then sleeve strained the stuff out of, the pithy stuff. I'm just as happy taking 3
I know.
ice cubes
I
and
hear
cooling
you.
my coffee down because I'm after the bitter. And the bitter is some of what helps stave off appetite. So one of the things that American palates are missing is bitter flavors in our food. I love coffee. I am the same spastic, coffee, not coffee. I'll find my coffee later in the day and I'm like, I've been a spaz all day. It's that I feel excited because I'm not carrying around 75 pounds and I feel better. I can go jump on things and run around and torture people all day long and make them feel just like me, and it's amazing. So it's my enjoyment of life that creates my energy level. I love the bitter of the coffee.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just hold black with a couple ice cubes because I need to taste things, and I don't know how people drink those super. So anything that doesn't create additional calories. Now, no sugar substitutes. Sugar substitutes create an insulin spike. Not as much as sugar does, but it still creates a drop in blood sugar because your taste response is part of the insulin response. And it goes, so it turns out there's probably sugar coming somewhere. I don't know where it is yet, haven't found it, but it's somewhere out there. And it will actually drop your blood sugar and make you more hungry, which is going to make you eat more calories, which is a bummer. So the one exception to that is if you're willing to do Truvia or Stevia, as long as it's very, very controlled, because one of the things I want to happen is for you to lessen your taste for sugar. I think carrots are sweet.
Yeah.
Because I have diabetes in my family and I've decided not to die young. I just have gone, we've got a little history of dying at 64 and I will not be doing that, thank you. So short-term satisfaction is not worth long-term, I'm not going to be around for my family. My dad died at 64 3 years ago and does not get to see my kids grow up. And to me, that's way more painful than not having a little bit of sweet. So changing my taste for the sugar, that's where my big problem with the sweeteners is you maintain that must have tons of sweet in my coffee. You're drinking it for the sugar and the cream, you're not drinking it for the coffee. So if you're going to drink it for the coffee, drink the coffee. And yeah, life is good. Okay?
So the trivia is okay.
Trivia is okay as long as you're really being cautious with how much you're putting in it. I tell you a story about my tea. I found Stevia in the like bulk section of one of the health food stores and bought a nice big bag of it because I thought, oh my gosh, it's calorie free. I can have. Okay, so it's a bag like this big. Has anybody ever used Stevia in the leaf form?
You don't need that.
Yeah, that was probably gross, what you did was probably.
So I threw the whole pot away.
Yeah.
It was my stew pot, like I don't even know, it's huge. And I made this wonderful, it was probably a $20 tea with hibiscus flowers and all this fun stuff in it. I put 1 tablespoon.
Ooh.
No, it wasn't even a tablespoon, it was a teaspoon. It was a rounded teaspoon of stevia after everything else, and I couldn't drink the tea because it was too sweet. And probably a gallon and a half of water. So it has a lot of bang for its buck. It does have a little bit of an aftertaste. In that case, it had a lot of an aftertaste. So we're geared to have a sweet tooth. When you're born, the only reason you nurse is because of the sweet tooth. So we're combating a whole whole bunch of genetic history to keep us alive as babies. We're not babies anymore. We don't need milk, and we're not gonna die. It's gonna be okay. All right.
Question. So I have this weird aversion to seafood lately. So if I don't want to eat halibut,
Are
is
you
it okay?
pregnant?
No.
Okay. Right, I just, yeah.
Three kids
Two,
in the
right,
car,
there's
remember?
another kid. Stop it ever. Sorry.
So if I don't want to have the
You-
halibut, can I have chicken or
You can trade it
buffalo
as
or-
long as it's the same lean. So I like about 2 kinds of fish. And I don't like a lot of kinds of meat cuts because I don't like a lot of fat. So I've changed my palate to where a T-bone steak to me is disgusting because it coats my mouth with too much fat. It just does. I will just make the leaner choices because it doesn't gross me out. If it grosses you out, trade it for something else that has the same food value. And if you're not sure what the food value is, send me an email. Do the other day that you do understand the food value exchange on and just flip-flop those by a day or two.
So you can flip days.
You can flip days. You know, one of the main goals behind this is I need you to find template days. So my other style of nutrition coaching is let me help you find what your palate likes about 5 or 6 days worth that you will eat forever. Okay, a couple variations here and there. I have 5 template days. When I have this for breakfast, I have this for lunch, and I have about this for dinner. It's not the same thing. It's food values. It's how much fat was in it, how much protein was in it, how many carbs are in it, and did I eat enough vegetables? I don't have to put anything in software to find out if it's balanced, because then I learned what it felt like to eat balanced. I learned what my body's response was to feeling fueled, and I didn't know what that was before. So it helps condition you to know, this feels really good, I think I'll keep eating this way. So you're starting to preset what your template days are by going, wow, that breakfast really filled me up, and I was okay with that small of a snack at mid-morning. It was just enough to keep me going to lunch. So you can switch them around. I would prefer that you not switch it as much as possible so that as much as possible we're all together. I did day 1 today, but I'm going to do it again tomorrow because I figured most people had not done it today. I just thought, well, you know, I have it. Okay, questions?
So, we can't, it sounds like we can't switch breakfast in the first AM snack. I have such a hard time eating
You
breakfast
can.
in the morning.
Order you can. So there are some people doing this that train at 5:30 in the morning. Well,
Yeah,
3 eggs,
what do we-
a
yeah, I was gonna
tablespoon
say,
of
we-
coconut oil, and 2 cups of bell peppers is not going to go down your stomach in time to be able to do 5:30 AM boot camp. I tested it. I ate it at, let's see. Let's find out. It actually turned out pretty well. I just am thinking 5:30 AM when I back into the times. About 6:50 to 6:55, I ate mine, and then I worked out at 7:30, so I had about, well, we roll for the first 5 minutes. I started working out probably at 42 after. I probably had almost an hour, and I can tell you that while I did not ever feel nauseous and feel like I was gonna throw it up, I was not very happy.
Right.
It was too much space, so when I went to do something with my stomach, I was like, my abs are squeezing, oh, that's my food. So typically, I would take the smaller meal if it's gonna be early, and flip-flop breakfast and that AM snack.
And then, the other question I had was, can we eat Quest bars instead of just
If
it's around the
Food
same?
value-wise, it trades out, yeah, because I probably will, because there's sometimes when I'm back-to-back in appointments, and I go, I can eat 5 bites of a Quest bar that has this many grams of fat, this many grams, so it has the nutrition, and that's the reason I put those breakouts in those meals and those
So
snacks.
it's okay to do it.
I have to, from a sanity perspective. I'm gonna try to have you not, I'm gonna try to have you do this all whole foods, but there are some days when I go, well, it turns out I don't have time to eat what that is. I can't sit for the 12 minutes it takes for me to consume this, but I can eat it in 30 seconds as I move off to my next appointment. So as long as you know when those are, try to plan them as much as possible, that would be my.
And then what about post-workout snacks? Like, I mean, I've conditioned myself that, oh, when I leave, I have to have something to eat. And it's really not my 3 hours. 3 hours haven't passed yet.
Think a new thought.
Yep. I
So
know, and I've
don't
done
need
a
to
lot
have-
of conditioning, and that's why I was like, oh boy, my regular clients
Think
are
a
gonna be
new
really mad at me, I'm in so much trouble. Here's the thing I want you to think about, so when the media gets hold of something, it's really exciting. They found the fat burning zone. Do you know what the fat burning zone is? It is your lowest cardio output that you can have and still exercise. It's the highest percentage of fat. And actually, the real highest percentage of fat is when you're sleeping. It's about 73% of your calories. Okay, well, so if you're hungry, take a nap. That helps because A, you don't eat calories, and B, you burn more fat than sitting there on the couch eating. But if my total volume of calories burned is less, who cares if the difference is, and in your fat burning zone that the media talks about, it's about 55% of the calories you burned are from fat. Well, what we do, about 42 to 45% of the calories you burn are fat. So if I burn 250 calories, or I burn 600 calories, which one do you want? The one with 55% of the 250, or 45% of the 600? Yeah. And the strength gain that happens, the muscle increase that happens, each pound of muscle burns an extra 50 calories a day. So if I build 8 pounds of muscle, which isn't very much, between my legs and my stomach and my back, I burn, standing here being alive, 400 more calories a day that I don't have to undereat, that I can actually fuel my body with. Super, super important that you're getting enough protein to build that muscle, or then it's just cardio. Okay?
Sound good.
And then I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
Actually, it's just, and
Well,
drinks.
hopefully they'll all get answered kind of as we go, or bring up
Drinks.
more. Drinks are
so water,
herbal tea with nothing in it.
okay. And we use lemon and, like lemon and lime and stuff.
I don't know how much. Yeah, a little wedge of lemon is fine for flavor.
Okay.
My suggestion to you would be to find a good source of good tasting water, because Albuquerque's water is horrific. And I can't drink Albuquerque water. I just, filtered water, I have a distiller at my house, and then I do a little mineral additive back into it so that I don't have to taste whatever it is that I don't understand exactly what it is, but the chlorine on top of that just makes me not happy. And bare minimum, then I do like a charcoal filtration so that at least it tastes better, and then I can drink it, I'm fine.
So, but we can have tea.
But you said herb tea, can it be in green tea?
There are green teas in there a lot.
Yeah,
A
green
lot.
tea is
I know
good.
a lot.
Yeah, I know. Right.
100%.
So if you're sensitive to caffeine, I would drink your green tea early in the day. I can drink green tea, I can drink espresso at
Me too.
8 p.m. and be asleep at 8:30 because I exercised. Yeah, I'm done. So that's something to take into consideration, yeah.
Can I was doing another program where I added an energy drink. It's called a Spark energy drink.
And Amber were you taking Spark?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we do that?
I just thought about that actually.
Yeah.
Another question. And I love them
It has a
because
lot
that's
of
all I
carbs,
drink.
though.
I don't drink sodas. I don't drink any other caffeine.
Spark
Okay.
has taurine and guarana in it. It has stimulants in it, or
Mhm.
maybe it's just one of the two. Here's the problem with that. It creates a stimulation of the endocrine system, and you become dependent on something like that. More so than you do caffeine. Right. So it's probably not going to hurt anything, but it's an artificial response in your body to feeling better. So that's like going, I'm stressed out, I think I'll go drink wine instead of using some stress coping. So just saying, that brings me to alcohol. 0 alcohol for 28 days.
the bottle
Yeah,
tonight.
it turns out.
I guess I'll skip Bible study and go right home.
So, I knew that was going to be good.
Anyone will join me. Can I go with you?
No. I'll bring.
Party at her house.
Yeah, it turns out we're all done with it, no. And you know, we're responsible adults.
Right.
I don't care if you drink on an ongoing basis. If you're drinking and you don't have the fitness results that you want,
Yeah, stop it.
you should probably try not doing it and see what happens, just for fun. Because 2 things happen with alcohol. The first thing is, my software, my wonderful software, have you noticed? It doesn't report as carbs. It is pure carbs. But if you put a glass of wine in there, it shows the calories and it's like 10 grams of carbs. Oh, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more. So you're not getting to see the carb impact, and your body burns it preferentially. So it's like floating at the top of your energy level, and your body goes, oh, look at this, thank you, and burns it. It doesn't burn the fat. I need to burn the fat. Because that's the whole point, is to get results so that I feel better, so that I can do more, so that I don't feel bad about myself.
So there's no cheat days, no
None.
cheat meals.
There is nothing,
Yay.
for 28 days, there's nothing.
Think of
Now-
that thought.
those of you that have trained with me and have seen the other food programming that I do, there's a cheat meal every single week. And so at the end of that 21 days, or 28 days total, then we're gonna revisit what this turns into. This is not, you're gonna do this forever. This is, let's kick this off and get your attitude about food changed. Let's get your responses, your physiological responses, your emotional responses. Let's get it changed. Let's get it reprogrammed. And then,
The party will be back at my house.
no. But you know, ultimately, I don't necessarily care if you're drinking a glass of wine here and there, but it will impede in your
It
calories.
does.
Oh, it absolutely. It's too many calories and it's preferentially burned. And then there's the factor of, I work out.
Yeah. Kidding yourself.
Well, no, you eat because your like inhibitions are loosened up and you go.
You get the munchies.
Turns out you get the munchies. It's a lot easier to have a way overdue in a meal if you've had 2 glasses of wine than it is when you're like, okay, so I go to boot camp and my stomach's actually really sore, and when I filled it up, the muscles stretching across my stomach stopped me from eating. That's a bizarre feeling. If you are drinking, you don't feel that feeling. You go, have the wine. So I need that to go away for a little while, and we can revisit if you feel that you need to have a glass of wine on Friday night to wind down from the week. I'm not opposed to that, as long as you're seeing the fitness results while you continue to do that. I did not drink at all for 10.5 months because I was never gonna do this again. I do drink now, once or twice a week, and it's with reserve. It is not an entire bottle. I have to like invite friends over to drink a whole bottle, or then I go in the kitchen and I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
I have cheese. I just eat cheese. I don't even need crackers. I'm good. So, changing your attitude about things.